That night I got arrested is something I'll never forget. It was pitch dark. Must have been around midnight when we heard the horses coming for us. What shocked me most was when the police started backing them into us. They were on top of us. I was only 18, but even at that age I had no illusions in the police. We'd seen what they'd done to the miners, but it's different when it happens to you. Then another horse charge followed, and behind them, the foot riot police just steamed in, battering and arresting people indiscriminately. It was one attack after another. From the beginning, it was clear this was going to be a big dispute and that the forces of the state would be mobilised to crush the print workers. The politics of the 1980s was Thatcher's war on the union movement, and that had peaked with the violent year-long miners' strike that had ended only a few months before the Wapping dispute began. This was about asserting power of bosses over labour, dramatically and visibly. By moving newspaper production from Fleet Street to Wapping, Rupert Murdoch was looking to smash the power of print workers. The dispute marked the turning point at which Rupert Murdoch became the #1 global media tycoon, a position that he has effectively held ever since. Then, like now, those at the top were using new technology to consolidate their power and to control the narrative. Doesn't that sound familiar? Murdoch was desperate for his move to succeed because he needed the extra profits in order to finance the expansion of his media empire in the US. And that was the playbook that other media barons tried, but in all reality, nobody ever really achieved the power and influence and scale that Rupert Murdoch did, and has to this day. Murdoch used his position to relentlessly push a hard-right political agenda, and there's a direct link from here in the 1980s right through to Trump in the White House now. On the night I was arrested, standing at the corner of Wapping High Street and Glamis Road, there were about 200 protesters trying to block the road to the trucks leaving News International. This time the lorries were trapped in the middle of the road and couldn't move, and another police horse charge came clattering down the road, and the riot police just waded in, attacking and arresting people indiscriminately. I was well aware that the dispute was getting very nasty and the police were getting very violent. Everyone was constantly warning each other to be vigilant and being advised what to do in the event of arrest. But it's still a monumental shock when it actually happens to you. I distinctly remember running down the street as the horses started to charge, and as I turned around to look, there was a riot cop in midair and he just flattened me. When he dragged me up, he repeatedly tried to knee me, kick me between the legs. And then a more senior officer arrived and told another officer to go with him, and he then became the witness for the arresting officer, even though he had absolutely nothing to do with the arrest itself and what had just happened. I was taken by the two officers to a minibus and dragged by the hair into it. It filled up totally with police who started talking about where I was to be taken. One of them said, "Just take him to the Thames," and put a brick around his neck. I didn't think they were actually going to do that, but when you're 18, alone and surrounded by people who've just attacked you, and you know that some really bad stuff is going on, you never know. I was then taken to a prison van and held there for a while before being taken to a cell at Southwark Police Station, where I spent the night with two others who had been arrested. My experience was just one individual experience, but hundreds of others went through the same thing. including my father, who was arrested 3 weeks before me at the exact same location here in Wapping. For decades and decades, unions held sway in Fleet Street, and their strength provided for good jobs, good pay and good conditions. And Murdoch was absolutely out to destroy that. When you step back and try to understand it in its broader context, you can absolutely see clearly why the state deployed its forces in the way that it did. And now, on the 40th anniversary of this historic dispute, we can look back at what happened and how much has changed, and also reflect on how some things have stayed the same. The media barons, the tech bosses, the rise of artificial intelligence, the attack on workers. The technology changes, but the playbook remains the same: divide us and isolate us. As a society, we're more connected than we've ever been before, but we're actually made to feel powerless and voiceless. Back in 1986, we were facing down horse charges, people were being arrested, but we were never really alone. We never felt alone. That's what made the difference to me. Standing together with family, with friends, with our union, and that's what I understand a union to be. And we need to reassert our own power by standing together again. Each of us has our own battles. Pay isn't keeping up with the cost of living. Jobs feel much less secure. And we're all under immense pressure. It's coming at us from all angles. But you should not and do not need to face those battles alone. And by standing together, just as we did then, we have our own power, and that's got to be what our union is for. Media has changed. In the past, there would have been giant printing presses here of News International. Now, media's gone online. We need different strategies, but the principles remain the same as they always were. We can push back against the division pouring into our workplaces from these platforms with our own union voices and solidarity. And we can organise to take on the tech giants, the politicians and the bosses who, like Murdoch, still think they can do whatever they want. The Wapping dispute was an attempt to destroy our union. They did not succeed. Today, we're organising in new media and platforms like Google and Meta. We've proved we can endure against the power and influence of billionaires and the state. And if we learn the lessons of the past and we stand together, our potential knows no limits. We can take on the billionaires, the tech bosses and the far right, and we will win.